I learned vocabulary. I went to school on Tuesday again. One of the students asked the question, which was interesting for me. She asked, "What is the best way to learn new words?" Our teacher told there are many things you can do to learn new words. I will tell you what is statistically the most effective way for learning new words. It is reading. When people who don't read, they learn new words in their language. They learn twice as fast as people who don't read. It is good to read for at least 30 minutes every day. I want to show you what you should do if you want to get the maximum profit from reading. First, it is very important that the book or text which you read is interesting for you. It is important that you enjoy reading the book. The book can be a nice story or it can be fictional or non-fictional, whatever your interest is for the book. Don't read the text which isn't interesting for you. When you don't know many words, you can get frustrated. You always want to enjoy everything you do while using the language. It is effective to choose a text which is interesting and also okay for your level. When you read the text and you see a word which you don't understand, you should take a dictionary and find the word in the dictionary, then you would look at its meaning. This will make better understanding of the text and your knowledge for the text will be increased. You won't have to write the word anywhere. The word will automatically get locked in your brain and you will always remember its meaning wherever you will see this word again. Every time when there is a new word for you, you will do the same. Reading also has another great advantage. When you read, you learn new words and you also learn how each word is connected to other words correctly. This way of learning new words is very effective. Try it and you will see how fast you can learn new words. Then we continue with the lesson. We speak about the situation in England and about the best jobs for students. This is good for me because I want to get a job. I want to do something in my spare time after school. I asked other students if they know that from where I can find a job. They told me that I should go to a job center. The job center offers a lot of jobs, especially for students. This is good for me. I am happy that I know from where I can find a job. When my day at school was over, I went to the job center. I did not know what job I could do, so I asked the lady at the job center, "What is the best job for a student?" The lady told me that they have some good jobs for students. She told me that I can be a clever or a waitress in a cafe. I told the lady that I have no experience with these jobs. She told me that my English is good enough to work at the cafe. The training was not difficult and I can have more chances to speak English than being a cleaner. She told me that I can start my job on Thursday. It is all good for me. I am happy that I have a job where I can practice English when you want to learn new words effectively read for 30 minutes every day. On Wednesday, I went to school again. There is one student in the class who is more quieter than the others. He is from South Korea. He said that he has a big problem with pronunciation. He knew that his pronunciation is not very good, but you did not know how to improve it. He doesn't speak much because he doesn't have others to listen to his bad pronunciation. He said that he reads and watches films in English a lot. He understands very well, but he also wants to improve speaking. He asked if there was something he could do to be better at pronunciation. When my teacher heard this, she said, "Okay, I will tell you something about pronunciation and how to practice it. I will also teach you techniques which can help all of you to become better at pronunciation. First, we have to look at why students have problems with pronunciation. When we speak, we have to move our mouth. We have to use muscles in our mouth. We all do that. The problem is that when you speak English, sometimes you use your muscles the same way you would use them in your native language. Then your pronunciation is different from the pronunciation of native speakers. This happens to many students to learn English. Almost everybody has a little different pronunciation that they should have. In fact, it is not a big problem because usually people understand what you want to say. Even if your pronunciation is not perfect. However, you can work on your pronunciation and make it better by a great technique, which can help you a lot. The name of this technique is shadowing. The technique is very simple. When you do shadowing, you simply copy the sound which you hear. When children learn their first language, they learn it by copying. They copy after their parents again and again, and one day their pronunciation becomes perfect. If you can learn English pronunciation the same way, this is what you can do. You take some videos or audio recording, which is not very fast and which you can understand very well. You listen and you copy what you hear when you hear it. That is all. Then our teacher went to www.youtube.com and she searched for the shadowing technique. She found good videos where the shadowing technique was very well demonstrated. We watched the video. Then we all tried to do shadowing for about 3 minutes. Then our teacher told us, shadowing is also good when you are preparing for a presentation in English and you want to have good pronunciation. Before the presentation, you can go to some place where you are alone and you can do shadowing for about 10 minutes. You will see how much it will help you to have better pronunciation during the presentation. This was very interesting for me. I haven't heard about this technique before. When the lesson finished, I went to the school reception. I asked the lady if there are any sports activities at school. I would like to do some sports in England. The lady at the reception says, yes, we have a table tennis team and a football team. The football team has training today at 5 o'clock. I was very happy because sport is very important in my life. I went to the training of the football team. I met a lot of players from different countries. The players are from Brazil, Japan, Russia, Spain, Argentina, and Italy. I liked the training. I was very happy that my time in England started well. I have a great teacher. I also have some new friends from my football team. Also, tomorrow I am starting my job as well. When you want to have a good pronunciation, repeat after native speakers. On Thursday, I went to school again. We had a new student in our class. Her name is Elizabeth and she is from Italy. At the beginning of the lesson, my teacher asked Elizabeth some questions. My teacher knows Elizabeth because Elizabeth visited her class 1 year ago. It was a class for beginners and it was only for 2 weeks during summer holiday. When Elizabeth speaks, she speaks beautifully. Her pronunciation is very good and she is fluent. My teacher was very happy and she told Elizabeth, your school in Italy must be very good. Elizabeth says, I don't go to any school. I learn English at home. I use techniques that I learn from you. I do a lot of reading, shadowing, and thinking aloud. I try to think more in English than in Italian. This is how I work on my English. The 2 weeks which I spent last summer at your class helped me a lot. You showed me the way. I know how to work on my English every day. This is why I wanted to join your class again because 1 year ago I was a beginner and now I can speak English. I want to learn from you again. My teacher was very happy when she heard these words. She appreciated Elizabeth for her hard work. It is all very interesting for me. I already know about reading. I also know the shadowing technique. But Elizabeth also speaks about thinking aloud. I don't know what it is. So I asked our teacher, what is thinking aloud? Our teacher replied, it is a very effective technique. You have to have a strong motivation to learn English if you want to have benefits from this technique. It is also good to know that for some people this technique is a little crazy. But when you start to think aloud, your English can be better very fast. I said, I have a strong motivation. I don't care if the technique is crazy. If it helps, I want to learn it. Can you teach us this technique? Okay, it is actually very simple. You think in your native language all day every time. It is normal. Now you start to think in English. And when you start to think in English, then you can think aloud. You simply say aloud what you think. That is all. I say it is very simple. Why is it very effective? Our teacher says maybe you can ask Elizabeth. She uses this technique. Maybe she can tell you more about this technique. Then our teacher asked Elizabeth if it is okay for her to speak about experience with thinking aloud. It is not a problem for Elizabeth. She said, when I started with this technique it wasn't easy. I started with very simple sentences. For example, I can speak English. It is good that I can speak English. I want to be better. I need to practice every day. I don't know many words, but I can use these words. I can express my ideas with these words. I can do this. This is great. The sentences were really simple. But at the beginning there was one problem. My thinking in Italian was long and complicated. I was not able to say it in English exactly, but I said it in Italian. I needed to find a simpler form for English. To think in simple English was the hardest part. But after some time it was normal for me to think in English. Then something interesting happened. I met a man from Australia. He was on holiday in Italy. I was still a beginner, but we started to speak English. I could see that I was able to speak with him without having problems. My sentences were simple and short, but I was able to speak. I didn't translate in my head from Italian to English. After the meeting with the man from Australia, I started to use thinking aloud more. This technique helped me a lot with my speaking. I still use it every day. It is really a very effective technique. Our teacher thanked Elizabeth for her experience with thinking aloud. I wanted to use this technique because I also wanted to get better at speaking. When you want to speak English fluently, think aloud. I want to give you extra advice. When you want to learn English, read, listen, think, and speak. Do each activity for 40 minutes every day. You can read, listen, and shadow while hearing our basic English stories.